Hey there, friend. Are you ready to tackle the biggest technological disruption to hit the church in our lifetime? Let's go. Join St. Stephen's in person for 6 60-minute weekend workshops or 6 60-minute midweek Zoom sessions. Led by professional trainer Sherry Phillips, these workshops are designed to enhance our parish operations. We'll deal with social media, managing volunteers, and receiving and expending money. We need your help. Greg and Sherry have assembled the strongest areas from St. Stephen's Downsview, Holy Trinity Guildwood, and Amberlea Presbyterian as a base. But the challenge is getting ministries, event teams, and the parish office, the finance team, and a social media team that does not yet exist to all work together, a lot more than they ever have. We need your input.
Okay. Now, our audience, those people who are currently volunteering in those roles, or we're hoping that others will join the training?
We're hoping others will join. We're building awareness because
Mm-hmm.
in the past, each event was a silo.
Mm-hmm.
The event leader and their team did everything.
Mm-hmm.
But going forward, it'll be hard for any one team to do everything. Like when all money came in as paper checks and cash, having an event team, you manage it was pretty easy. But if payments come in as cash, checks, credit card, debit card payments, some come as e-transfers, no one event team can handle all of it. They have to depend on the accounting team and the parish office. And when all they had to do for publicity was put up paper posters on physical bulletin boards, yeah, one team could handle that. But we see from the experience of DYC, if you're dealing with young families and you're not on social media, they don't come.
Mm-hmm.
And no one person knows how to do all we need to do on social media. So working as a team is going to be one of the big challenges. It'll be important to know what the other areas do, even if you don't plan to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In our 6 sessions, we will cover how event leaders, worship service greeters, the team that counts and reports the money we receive, the finance team, and the social media team have to work together more closely than they have ever worked together before. Each session will focus on a different role, but plan to participate in all 6 sessions.
Have you considered other apostolic churches in the churches instead of working to campus, to school, university campuses?
Did you hear that? Let's try that again.
Have you considered the personnel churches need? Yes, in the churches. So it's not worshiping only in the church, but also taking the church to campus, public school, to university.
When I look around St. Stephen's, I see closets full of the stuff we used to use for events and programs for women, men, youth, children, and the community. Events we have not done for at least a decade. Our capacity to deliver new ministry and events needs maintenance. In these 6 sessions, we are not going to tell you what events you should conduct or the new ministries you should start. We are going to build your capacity to do the ministry you choose to do. Sherry and Greg recognize that 6 sessions will not be enough. They will take the results from the in-person workshops and Zoom sessions and develop on-demand training that can be accessed online. I said we had focused on identifying our challenges. Here's an overview. At St. Stephen's, we celebrated our 70th anniversary in 2024. At our centennial in 2054, we want to still be serving our community of Downsview as a parish. To do this, we need to attract at least as many new parishioners as the number we lose. Here's our back-of-the-envelope calculation. Last February, we issued 150 tax receipts for charitable giving. To maintain our donor count at 150, given the number of people likely to drop out, we need an average of 5 new visitors each week, with at least one becoming a recurring donor. The people who are not present do not speak at our management meetings to tell us why they don't come. So, we identified 5 factors that are critical to enabling unchurched people in our community to become visitors and for visitors to become recurring donors. We can use these factors to evaluate our processes and programs. Factor 1. Make our parish visible to our neighbors. In 2025, this means visible on social media. Factor 2. Show the unchurched that we genuinely care about our community. People need to see themselves in our social media posts, and we need to build trust by showing diverse participants and their positive experiences. Factor 3. Provide steps to help unchurched people make spiritual care a habit. Factor 4. Both in person and online, participants should be able to sign up for programs and events easily. Factor 5. Volunteering at church must be as valuable as work experience for younger generations as it was for older ones. To summarize, in 1985, parish operations met all of these critical success factors. In 2025, we have adapted just enough to know survival is possible with the resources we have, but not enough to make it to 2054. We score particularly low on the last two CSF, and our social media posts come exclusively from Father Theodore's sermons. Bottom line, technology has evolved a lot more in the world than it has at St. Stephen's. This impacts our ability to communicate and engage with our neighbors. Jesus laid out even bigger challenges. You may be surprised to know that not only did the early church experience severe social disruption due to technical change, it was much more severe than the disruption we experience today. I found 4 Bible verses, in particular, that I personally felt convicted me of not doing as much as I need to do. Acts 1:8. You will be my witness in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. When Jesus says, you, he means you, the person watching this video. When he says, my, he means the body of Christ, which for you is the church. When he says witness, he means your testimony of your personal experience of the church as the body of Christ. Your testimony about your experience of the church matters. Most of us would not eat in a restaurant that has no customer reviews if we even noticed a restaurant without a social media presence existed.
I do 1-minute video clips from Father Theodore's sermon and put them on TikTok and YouTube. We've had 65,000 views on YouTube and 12,000 views on TikTok, mostly from people under the age of 34. But that's also the age group that doesn't know they're supposed to come to church. Their parents didn't take them.
Matthew 22:39. Love your neighbor as yourself. We pay a lot of attention to the first part, love your neighbor, but skip over the second part, as yourself. Jesus is saying that as a congregation, we need to take stock of how we love ourselves and love our neighbors the same. That is, ensure we treat those who have not yet come through our doors with the same care and respect as our longtime members. It is not enough that for every oral announcement at worship service that ends with, talk to OFT after worship to sign up. We have a way for online participants to talk to OFT. The online contact has to be as loving and engaging as the face-to-face contact at the back of the church. That's a tall order, but that is the command. Corinthians 14:12. Since you are eager for gifts of the Spirit, try to excel in those that build up the church. The words eager, excel, and build up tell us that volunteers who discovered new gifts at church in the first century were going to use their new skills beyond the church walls. This is important. Like today, the early church faced social isolation, bad press, and just plain fake news. When the unchurched say, St. Stephen's, I've heard of them. That's where the lady who runs my daughter's sports team learned how to lead events. Then the innuendo loses much of its power. But this depends on the spiritual gifts we develop at church being useful in the world. Matthew 22:37, love the Lord, your God, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This verse puts the other 3 verses together. Our role as a church is not just to ensure St. Stephen's endures another 30 years, but to ensure that in our community, at every decision-making meeting, there are people who know God is real, and that His commands are not just suggestions. Let's recap. We have 5 critical success factors that tell us when, where, and how. When? Right now. Where? Online and in person. How? Social media posts, electronic payment, online registration, online volunteer scheduling and training, video editing, standardized accounting, and all the in-person stuff we've been doing, We will continue to do. We have 4 Bible verses that tell us who, what, and why. Who, why owe you? What? Your testimony of your experience of the church as the body of the risen Christ in your life, and your development of skills you will use at church and in the world. Why? Because every decision maker needs to know God is real, and His commands are not just suggestions. Here's what to do next. Scan the QR code or type the URL into your web browser. Go to our web page. Select the training option that best fits you. In person, on Zoom, or on-demand video. Together, let's make our parish thrive.
As for attracting the young ones to stay, I am hoping that this will help. I'm not confident that this is enough, but I'm hoping
Yeah.
it will be a start.
I agree. These workshops alone are not going to solve all things, but they
Well,
are a good start.
Well, yeah, we have many problems and they're in layers. Well, you solve the first level of problems, you say, oh, now they can come in. Then you find the next problem. It's like first you have to unlock the door because they won't come through in a locked door. Once the door is open, you say, how do we get them to come through an open door?
Great. That's good. Good analogy.